Hi, everyone. Welcome back. And, thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. I realize that I've been remiss in explaining to all of you who I am and what I'm doing, why I'm actually doing this. So I'm going to start off a little bit by, saying who I am. My name is Crystal Castle, and I run a business called Mindful Shift. And I started it and actually called it Mindful Shift because I want I want to start a global movement of elevating awareness. And when I say elevating awareness, I mean bringing people from wherever they are to the present. So when, you're living in the past or you're worrying about the future, you're not enjoying the present moment. And one of the reasons why I want to do this is because living in the past or worrying about the future, it causes stress, a lot of stress. And so that type of stress can be really detrimental to your health. So, you can have all kinds of medical issues. It can cause heart disease, coronary artery disease, all kinds of autoimmune disorders. And it's just really not good for you to live, in a perpetual state of constant stress. Most people deal with acute stress on a daily basis, and they don't even realize that they're dealing with acute stress on a daily basis. So one of the reasons why I wanted to help teach people these things is because I used to be an alcoholic, and I used alcohol to help me cope with life. And so using alcohol to cope with daily life, it was just a way for me to escape. It was a form of escapism. It was a way for me to, basically literally drown my sorrows and it was a way for me to be able to sleep at night. Now, I quit drinking, and when I quit drinking, I needed something. I didn't know what to do because I was so used to being able to just, numb my feelings and my senses and everything. I didn't understand how I could deal with the thoughts, the racing thoughts, and everything that was going on in my life, and all the things that I used alcohol to deal with. So I went to Borders Books, back when there was such a thing. And I went down, I'm a voracious reader. I read tons and tons and tons of books. And I went down an aisle, never ever go down, personal development aisle. And I've told this story before, so some of you may remember this. But I went down the aisle for personal development, an aisle that I never would have gone down. I don't know why I went down that aisle, but I did. And a book fell off the shelf. So I picked it up because it fell off the shelf, and I am deeply respectful of books. You won't find any dog-eared pages or any broken bindings or anything like that. No highlighting, writing, underlining, nothing in any of my books. I find, I'm very, very deeply respectful of books. Anyway, so it fell off the shelf. I picked it up, and when I picked it up, the cover kind of caught my eye. So I started, thumbing through it. And as I was thumbing through it, a store employee came down the aisle and saw what I was looking at and said, "Oh, if you like this book, you'll really like, this book." So he handed me another book, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I should just buy these. So I went up to the counter and bought them both and went home and started reading. And they both changed my life. And basically, I learned about mindfulness and meditation and how mindfulness brings you back to the present moment constantly. You have to be constantly vigilant, and mindful of everything that you're doing, everywhere that you're going, every thought that you think. And it's funny because I'm saying this and it sounds like it might be a lot to have to deal with, but it really isn't, because once you practice it, on a consistent basis, it just becomes habit. So that being said, I understand what it's like to be stressed, like super, super stressed. I run multiple businesses. I've been a full-time student, a performance athlete. So at one point in time, I was working a full-time job, going to school full-time, running a business, and um, I was a sponsored triathlete. So, I mean, I had a lot on my plate, and I pushed myself. I pushed myself so hard. And so I understand what it's like to be super, super stressed out. I've suffered from adrenal fatigue twice, up to the point of near hospitalization, because I was constantly stressed about everything. And I worked in high pressure jobs. So I was, basically executive level in accounting. So, there was a lot of pressure on me to perform and to do a lot of work and to be responsible for a lot of things. And then I am the type of person who puts a lot of pressure on myself. I am a perfectionist. And, as a perfectionist, I am constantly pushing myself to do more, to be better, to be faster. And so all of these things really, really stressed me out. And, the perfectionism still kind of stresses me out. And if you join my Facebook group, I talk a lot about that because that's something that I'm currently dealing with right now. So I have a free Facebook group where I do group coaching every week. So anyway, the reason why I decided to do this is because I understand how people are stressed out, like super, super stressed out. And I understand how detrimental it is to your health because, like I said, I've had so many issues because of stress. And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the issues that you deal with are caused by stress. So I really want to help people. And that's why I do these videos every week, because I'm hopeful that, doing these videos and, seeing the topics, it might be something that would catch your eye and, you might find interesting, and then watch the video and get something out of it, some way that you can use yourself in your daily life to be able to cope with whatever it is that you're dealing with, if it happens to be related to the topic that we're talking about that week. In the same regard, in my free Facebook group, and I'll put the link in the description, we have free group coaching once a week. So if you have a specific thing that you're dealing with, an issue that you don't know how to resolve, you can come in the Facebook group and, we can discuss it, and I can help you figure out ways to be able to deal with that situation or be able to cope with that situation. Or if you don't feel like you want to be the person that's, like out there, you don't want to be vulnerable and tell people what you're dealing with, because I get it. Like, there's a lot of things that people, we're afraid to share what we're suffering through, because we're afraid that we're going to be judged, or we're going to be criticized, or, whatever. We're just afraid. We have so many fears and doubts and limiting beliefs. But, if there's something that you're dealing with that you would like to have resolved, but you don't want everybody to know that it's you that's suffering from this problem, then please feel free to send me a message. And, I will discuss it in the group coaching call. And, I won't say who it is that it pertains to, but, discuss ways to get around whatever it is that you're dealing with. So that being said, I'd like to get on to the topic of today's discussion. So the past few weeks, we've been talking about depression. And one of the number one reasons why people feel depressed is because they're lonely and they feel disconnected. And this is especially so now that, everybody's been going through quarantine and, they're doing social distancing, and you're really not supposed to be around people for, extended periods of time. So we're feeling that even more now. So people who, felt isolated before feel completely cut off from the world. And it's really, really difficult because it's not something that we can easily remedy, especially right now. Being lonely and being cut off from everybody, is something that, like, our government is mandating. I live in Michigan, I've said it before, and we're in one of the strictest states. we still have, like, I think we're in like stage 3 of reopening, and like half the world is like, woohoo, everything's all good, yada yada yada, and everybody's like just walking around like nothing ever happened. And we're still like, half of our businesses are still shut down. We're required to wear masks outside and social distancing and all that stuff. So it can still make you feel terribly isolated and really really alone. And one of the things that I want to say is loneliness comes from not truly liking the person that you're alone with. And one of the reasons why people fill their life with things and being busy, and I'm just as guilty of it as anybody else. Like, I don't know anybody else who does as much crap as I do. Like, I'm constantly piling things on, and like my calendar, even though we're in quarantine, I've got stuff, I've got calls, and I'm in meetings and in being on interviews and podcasts and all this stuff. So like, everything that comes my way, I'm like, yeah, I'll take it, yeah, I'll take it, yeah, I'll take it, yeah, I'll do it. Because keeping myself busy keeps me from thinking. So it's another form of numbing, right? So instead of dealing with my thoughts or my emotions, I'm just going to turn on YouTube and I'm going to binge watch whatever. Or, you get sucked down the YouTube rabbit hole. I actually had to turn off my automatic playlist, because you go on there and it's the same thing on Facebook. You watch a video on there, and then all of a sudden another one pops up, and then another one pops up, and they just automatically play based on what they think you would like. And before you know it, 5 hours has gone by, and you're like, oh crap, I was supposed to go to bed 3 hours ago. And you didn't have to think about whatever it was that your brain was thinking about. So, spending time in a contemplative practice, whether it's journaling or meditating or, in prayer, doing those things helps you to understand yourself, who you are at your very core. And, I've been talking over these past weeks about, who are you really? And this is the reason why, because one of the reasons why we keep ourselves so busy, one of the reasons why we numb ourselves with alcohol and food and other substances, is because we don't like the person that we're with when we're alone. And so by learning who you truly are, what you really like, and what you're really about, you'll never be able to spend time alone. You'll be alone and you'll feel isolated, right? But the interesting thing is, you're never really alone. And the same thing with like disconnection. We're all connected. We are all a part of the same source. We're all the same. We are all the same. We're all energy. And energy is an undeniable fact, is that energy can neither be created nor can it be destroyed. It just transforms. So when we're born, we go from nowhere to now here. And then when we die, we go from now here to nowhere. But we don't disappear. Our energy just transforms. And because we're all a part of the same energy field, you can never, ever be disconnected. Never. And we have a tendency to think, and please don't bash me for saying this, but organized religion, particularly, tries to make you feel like you are separated from source. Like there's a separation, and you have to go through the church, and you have to go through all these things and do all these things and jump through all these hoops to reach your salvation, which is a load of horse shit, because you're always connected. You're always connected to everybody. I feel other people. Like I get feelings. Like I was talking about, my family member who I had to contact a couple weeks ago, because like I kept getting the feeling that there was something wrong and I needed to contact her. And even this week, like I just keep getting this feeling that there's somebody that I needed to reach out to. So I just reached out and was like, hey, I'm here if you need me. Like something just said, to do this. And so I get these feelings all the time. And everybody has them. Everybody's able to feel this. Everybody's able to be connected to everybody else. But you can't feel that if you keep yourself so busy and so surrounded with stuff and outside stimulus that you can't pay attention to that. You're not listening to your body. You're not listening to your higher self. You're not listening to your soul. And, one of the interesting things is, so I've heard it put this way by a number of different people, but that, and I am a Buddhist. So when I say God, I don't mean like the literal, like God, Jesus, whatever. And, somebody I knew once called it Gus, which I thought was kind of cool, which stands for God, Universe, Source. Because everybody believes different things and everybody's entitled to believe whatever they want to believe. As a Buddhist, I don't believe in a deity, I guess. I believe in personal transformation and mastery of self. And so that is my goal in life, is to master myself, to master my emotions, to master my feelings. And so the way I heard it said is that prayer is talking to Gus, and meditation is hearing the answer. And I can tell you, like, I've got sticky notes all over. Like, every time I meditate, I'm not even joking. I've got like sticky notes everywhere. Every time I meditate, here's another one. I keep a pen and I keep Post-it notes because every time I meditate, I get a message. And some people might be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you broke your meditation to write that down." But my memory is for shit. And if I don't like write down what I'm thinking about right now, when my meditation's over in 20 minutes, I'm not going to remember because there's going to be so much stuff. So I will literally come out of my meditation. I'll write down real quick what it is that and I've tried to not do this. And then I've lost so many wonderful ideas that I'm really, really mad at myself. So I'm like, oh my God, I had an awesome name for something. And then I just was like, I'm just going to power through it and just move on to whatever. And then, when my whatever time was up, I was like, what the heck was that? And I can't remember. And it's so frustrating. So I will come out of my meditation. I will write down whatever it is that I'm thinking about and then go back in. And because I'm so practiced at it, it's really, really easy for me. But it took a number of years to get there. Another one of the things that I do is at night, I have a journal. And so I've talked about this one before, but I have this planner that I use. It's a Passion Planner Daily, which is really awesome. And they've got this space over here. It's called the Space of Infinite Possibilities. And I write my morning affirmations on this side. And then at night, before I go to bed, I'll write a problem that I'm dealing with. So I'm trying to name a new program, or I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to talk to you guys about, or I need to do YouTube videos, and what am I going to talk about? So I think about these things and I journal a little bit and I write down some things that I'm trying to problem solve. And then when I go to bed, my brain keeps working on it while I'm sleeping. And then I wake up in the morning. And this is one of the reasons why people have like really great shower thoughts, because by the time you're in the shower, you're usually awake enough for your brain to say, hey, here's this thing that you were thinking about, you were asking about, here's a really great idea, or here's a really great answer. And so, you come out of the shower and you're like, Eureka, I found it, whatever. So thinking about these things. But anyway, disconnection and loneliness, people only feel lonely again because they don't like the person that they're with. One of my best friends, love her to death. She had so many issues. She was divorced and she didn't want to be alone. And so she kept getting in all these horrible relationships because she didn't want to be alone. And I was like, honey, you need to stop getting in these relationships. You need to learn how to be alone. And most of us, one of the reasons why quarantine is driving everybody crazy is because we're having to now deal with all this unresolved trauma and, deal with all these emotions that nobody ever teaches us how to deal with. Nobody in school, nowhere unless you're a psychologist or a psychiatrist, they don't teach you how to deal with emotions. They don't teach you how to ask for help. They don't teach you how to be vulnerable and how to really reach out to people. And that's one of the reasons why I've been doing this series on depression, because depression is something that I've dealt with. And I know what it felt like to feel alone, like no one in the world. So I was a victim of sex trafficking. And I didn't know how many other people in the world were out there who had dealt with this type of thing. And then not only that, but then I had all these other things happen that was a progression that apparently is a very common thing, like this progression that I went through. And I didn't understand that there were other people out there who'd suffered like I did. And so I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know who to talk to. I felt alone and isolated. And it wasn't until I started talking to people about what I'd been through that other people were like, oh yeah, I know someone who went through this, or I know someone who actually started an organization to help people like you. And I was like, holy cow, this is crazy. I didn't understand that there were all these people out there. So I started talking to people, and the more I talked, the more people I started running into who had dealt with the same thing. And so, we all kind of came together and worked on a way to support each other so that, we could get through our trauma and get past it. And that's one of the reasons why I am doing what I'm doing, is because I have basically come through all the shit, and I've said this before in other ones, without the shit, there's no growth, right? You can't grow if you don't go through really, really crappy things. And, unfortunately, a lot of people go through really, really crappy things, but, you're not alone. You're truly not alone in the world that we're in right now with technology. You can reach anybody. I can talk to somebody on the other side of the world. I can probably talk to somebody in Antarctica if I wanted to. I don't know anybody in Antarctica, but one day maybe I might want to go there. Maybe not. I don't know. That one seems kind of crazy. But I mean, in the world that we're in, I can call anybody. Yeah, okay, I can't like physically see them and I can't physically touch them, but they're there, right? If you don't have anybody that you're really close with, and it wasn't until recently in the last 5 years that I had really, really close friends that I could trust and know that they would be there for me. I mean, I have some acquaintances that we've known for a number of years, but I didn't really have any like super, super close friends. And I just realized that I needed to start opening myself up, right? And start talking to people and just putting myself out there. And one of the reasons why I didn't have close friends was because I was terrified of what people would think of me. What are they going to think of me when they find out all the things that have happened to me or all the things that I've done in my life? So I'm just like, you know what? It's just easier if I don't say anything and I just don't have any friends and I just isolate myself from everybody. But I realized that that's not the answer. It's really not the answer. There's somebody out there who will listen to you, who won't judge you, who will be there for you. You just have to put yourself out there. You have to do it. I mean, it's painful and it's traumatic and it's terrifying to say, this is me. This is the real, raw me. And the people who don't run away from you, those are the people that you want to snatch up and hold close. The ones that shun you, the ones that talk about you behind your back, the ones that are like, I don't know about you. Those are the ones, they're not your true friends. right? They're not your true friends, but you're never going to find out who is somebody that should really be a relationship that you should cultivate unless you really put yourself out there. So you really, really need to be vulnerable. You really do. And, there's always somebody. And if anybody out there needs to talk to anybody, I'm always here. You can send me a message on Messenger, and I'm more than happy to talk to you about anything. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I can find something in common with pretty much everybody. I don't judge. It's not my place to judge. Like, there's plenty of shit that I've done in my life that I could be judged for, but you know what? It's my life. And I'm okay with the way everything turned out. In the same respect, your life is your life, and yeah, okay, you might have some things that you're going through, but I want to help you through them. So, loneliness and disconnection can truly, truly make you feel very, very sad and depressed. But you're not really lonely and you're not really disconnected. You really just need to understand who you are. You need to learn to truly love yourself. Do the shadow work that I talked about in the last couple videos. Dig deep, and it's going to be painful. I'm not going to lie. It is going to be painful to really dig deep and find all of these things and really find out who you are and what you're about, and what you truly enjoy in life, and who your real friends are. If people are using you, they're not your friends. If somebody only contacts you because they want something, that's not a true friend. Anytime somebody calls and says like, hey, how you doing, and just wanted to call and say hi, and I just want to see how you were doing, that's a true friend. I had a friend one time. I would just call her, out of the blue every once in a while. We'd work together and then we stopped working together. I'd just call her and be like, hey, you want to go to dinner or like go, hang out or whatever. And she's like, this is really strange. And I was like, I don't understand. And she's like, I've never known anybody who didn't want anything from me. Like, I wasn't calling her because I wanted to see her and hang out with her and say hi and catch up and, hey, how you doing? Whatever. But like, I didn't want her to come out because I wanted her to pay for dinner, or, I wanted anything from her. I just wanted the pleasure of her company because she was a really nice person, and I enjoyed spending time with her. But it's truly sad to me that was foreign to her. And, so you need to just kind of figure out where you are and what you can do so that you don't feel so lonely and so that you don't feel so disconnected. Spend more time doing self-care, spend more time in contemplation, spend time in prayer, spend time journaling, spend time meditating. I'm going to start doing, so if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to have a series of meditation videos, and it'll be different types of meditation that you can do, and how to actually perform the meditations. Then I'll have some guided meditations, and then links to some meditations that you can actually download. So if you're watching this on Facebook, I started a YouTube channel. I'll actually put the link to the YouTube channel in the description for this video. And then if you're watching this video on YouTube, I will put links to those videos in the description as well. So that's pretty much all I have for this week. I know it's a lot to digest, and I keep talking about the same things over and over and over again, basically in different form, because they are super, super, super important. If you don't love yourself, I wrote a whole flipping book on self-love. It's not a big book, but the whole book is about self-love and about connecting to yourself, to your higher self, because I have found that that is the most vitally important thing that you can do. And Lao Tzu said, if you correct your mind, the rest of your life will fall into place. And I have found that to be the absolute truth. Absolute truth. The only way you can correct your mind is by really getting in there and figuring out the triggers that are causing you to think and feel the way you do, and figuring out a way to switch those thoughts, to shift those thoughts. That's why I call my company Mindful Shift, because you have to be mindful of the thoughts as they're coming in, and then you have to shift to a different thought. You have to switch it from something negative to positive, because your brain is going to constantly be feeding you negative. It's just what it does. It's just what it does. It's the way it is. It's trying to keep you safe. But we don't live in a world where we have to worry about Tyrannosaurus Rexes or, saber-toothed tigers or even lions. Like, we don't live anywhere where there's any predators. The only thing we really have to worry about is people texting while they're driving their cars, and you texting while you're driving your car. It's pretty much the only thing we have to worry about. And so it's just trying to keep us safe. So we need to rewrite the program that is going through our head. And that's what it is. It's a program. Our brains are basically computers, and we can program it to think and do what we want it to do. But unless we get off autopilot, that's not something that we can do. And so I'm doing these videos because I want to try and help you shift from autopilot and go from what I've said before, from being unconsciously incompetent to unconsciously competent. It's not a quick process. It's something that's going to take time, and it's going to take practice. And that's why they call it a mindfulness practice. It is a constant practice. You have to constantly be diligent, because if you're not, it'll all shift back. It's so funny, because I'm thinking about this now. So I went through Invisalign, 2 years of wearing these braces to move my teeth around. And if I go one night without wearing my retainers, anybody who's had braces and then had retainers will know this. Your teeth shift back. They want to move back. I don't understand. So your jaw goes through what's called absorption and resorption. So literally, when they're moving your teeth around, your jaw softens and your teeth move. And then when they're back, when they're in the place where they need to be, you wear your retainers and your jaw hardens again. And I'm thinking in my head, like, my jaw is hardened. How are these teeth moving back? But that's just the way it is. Nature abhors a vacuum. So it will always keep trying to shift back. So you have to constantly be mindful. You have to constantly wear your retainer, because if you don't wear your retainer at night, anybody who's had braces that didn't wear their retainer, and I've talked to so many people who've done that, it'll just all shift back. So you have to be diligent. You have to be vigilant. You have to constantly be aware of what is going on, what your brain is saying, what your mind is telling you. So that's all I have for today. If you're watching this on YouTube and you really found this valuable, like it, subscribe for more, share in your comments anything that you're dealing with, or anything that you're struggling with. And even on Facebook, if you have a problem, if you're watching this after the live, just let me know, and I'll respond and, figure out how we can help you sort through your issues. So looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks for watching, Eric. You're always here. I appreciate it. So until next time, enjoy, have a good one, and watch those thoughts.